back, like I guess more than 10 years ago probably, when people were talking about corrypt, someone made the comment that it was a quintessentially independent game, that it was a game that could never have made it for a publisher because they said the publisher would insist that no, you have to focus test it. Playtesters are thinking that this event that's happening in the game is a bug. You have to make it clear that it's the intended functioning. It's like they turn magic into a game mechanic. You have to divide it up into levels where you maybe lock a tile and do stuff, and then it resets so you can progress the mechanic. And I don't know, like that's I mean, I don't remember who it was a long time ago, but that's more or less what they said. And I don't know, like I didn't think that was necessarily fair. Like the game does a bunch of things that are unconventional and different, but it's pretty like internally consistent, and like there's reasons for why it does all its thing. Like it works. And published, like, it feels a bit like this stereotype, like evil publishers, right? That's not real, right? Like, people who are working in games, whether it's on the publisher or the developer side or press or whatever, they're in it because they care about the games. Like, they want to be involved in the process of making the world playful. Like, it's not. Yeah. So. But the thing I wasn't thinking about, that I didn't really have the perspective on at the time, is that a publisher is not just looking at the end product and evaluating whether that's internally consistent and makes sense. They look at it halfway through. And if I think about... So I think this person who made this comment must have had a lot of experience with this and been quite wise. Because, yeah, if I think about corrypt halfway through, it was a mess. No way around. To get to there, I had to break things and make a mess. And I had a coherent vision that I was following, that I knew what it was going to turn out being like, but you have to work out all the details in the way. And yeah, I'm sure someone could have looked at it halfway through and it's like, well, this is breaking a bunch of the conventional rules of puzzle design. Like, you should follow those rules. And I'd say, there's a good reason I'm breaking them. It wouldn't be clear that there was a good reason because I hadn't finished it yet. And yeah, it was hard to make the whole level design work so the whole thing mostly is completable. And there is a chance that someone can get stuck, and I've tried to minimize that, but that's not something I was able to guarantee. Like, if you're in the middle where it just seems likely that someone's going to, so you just have to be taking it on faith that I guess I think I can do this. I'm just going ahead and doing it, and that you can do that when it's just you. But yeah, so probably they were right. Probably corrypt is a game that could not have been published. Wow. Anyway, so I'm no longer working with a publisher, and I tried to make it work. But they decide that they don't want what I've been making, and so they've ended it, and it's been a bit confusing and stressful through, but I think in the end it seems to have worked out okay for me. Like, it was good to have funding to like get back to working and like start in an office and having the space where I could be away from home where it's too distracting to get things done, and start making progress on something. And yeah, well, it's been good, and I retain rights to my work, so I can finish the game and release it indie. It's all good, and yeah, like it's actually really good. I still have some of the money that was budgeted for the game, and like some of the money that I had like planned to spend on another collaborator, because like, I couldn't see how I could get it done in time without that. Now that I have a bit more flexibility in how I'm going to spend the money that I have, that money is going to the dentist, and like I need some work, and I couldn't figure out how to put the pieces together to have there be enough to like it would have been nice. Like, I tried to ask for more money in the first place so I could have teeth and make the game, but like I needed money then, like to eat. So I took the deal that I could find that sorted what was available then. I didn't have the space to be like shopping around a lot, and this fell into my lap and seemed like actually a pretty good offer, so I just ran with it and tried to make it work. But I was planning that I'd have to make a game that would make enough money that, like, even with them taking a cut and all, then I would have enough money later this year to pay the dentist. But now I still, like, after I paid that money, I still have to like hope the game makes money so I can keep going after that. But having that much in one place, like, you know, I just haven't for the last few years had enough at one time to go like, okay, let's do that work. And like it just seems like the good decision now to just dive into it, and I can get that done, because like that, you know, teeth, it affects the whole, like the alignment of the jaw, affects like the whole alignment of the spine, and it's important to have that. Like, teeth are not optional. Teeth are not optional. So yeah, I'm getting that done, and I'm finishing the game indie, and like it might take a bit longer because I'm not that many going to the dentist rather than to another collaborator. It might be a bit less polished because I do more myself, but I can do that, and it feels like it's a little game. It feels like a good, like, comeback kind of game. Like, it's not. Some people are going to expect that I've been spending these last few years I haven't released something working on a magnum opus, and I haven't. I've been sick and busy having a family and trying to survive on not enough money. Like, I haven't been magnum operating. But this is a nice little thing. It's a self-contained. Like, it's not like I like making games that you could play for the rest of your life. This is just like you play for a few hours and you complete it. And it's like, you don't want all games to be something that's going to be for the rest of your life. There's only so much space for those, and what I have space for in my life right now is experiences that take a few hours. So it's a good time to be making one. And yeah, and the dentists here are amazing. Like, a lot of people come to Portugal for dental tourism. Internationally, the prices are wonderfully good. You can get cheaper elsewhere, but within Europe, it's good, and the quality is really up there. Like a lot of the problems I've had have been like when I was living in the UK, having cheap NHS dentistry. Like, it's great that there's that system there of essentially free healthcare, but I had problems following on from that. And one time when a dentist back in Aotearoa saw what the UK dentist had done, she was just like, we don't do it like that anymore. I haven't seen that for a long time. And yeah, I love Scotland. I love living there. I may move back there, but that's one of the challenges there. That is not a challenge here. And I mean, before that, like when I was a child in New Zealand, in schools there was free dental care for children, which again, like it shouldn't matter so much that the quality's not there, because it's for your first set of teeth, which are supposed to get replaced. But 2 of my teeth, one on each side symmetrically, the replacement didn't come through. And so I was until just 3 years ago, I still had one of them, and the other one 5 years ago. I still had 2 of my milk teeth, still as an adult. Random, bodies are varied, and that can happen. But those were very decayed because they've been from when I was a baby, and that affects the ones next to them, and so now I have these gaps, and now I'm going to get some good work there. But yeah, there's the dentist I'm seeing now. I love him. He's so good. He looked at my teeth and he told me, "Oh, you haven't been flossing. It'd be good to floss because like it can extend the life of your teeth." And he showed me, like he did some of the cleaning in my mouth with floss, and like I had tried using floss before, and like I didn't have the technique for how to use it well. And I know like I should floss, and when I go to dentists in Aotearoa and in the UK, they would like they make you feel guilty. You haven't been flossing. Like you should be to the dentist more, and you feel bad. And that's not the culture here. Here you go, and like, it's just a practical thing. They look at it and they don't guilt you. They just go, okay, let's see what we can do with what we have to work with here. And so he told me to floss, and since then I've been flossing because he told it without guilt, without shame, without pressure, just as a simple practical thing. And that made it easy to change that habit. And yeah, like I said, I've got much better technique, because I when I was a teenager, a dentist decided to floss, and I asked them how to floss, and they just like, you just put the floss between your teeth. And I said, when I try that, like my gums bleed, and it's like, your gums should bleed. That's your gums shouldn't bleed. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, no, like just feeling him do it in my mouth, and you can't always explain things like that verbally. It's like with dance, you have to feel in your body how the technique works, and then you can do it. A lot of skills can only really be passed on by direct embodied transmission. That can happen for you. Like, probably at some point I should have just looked up a YouTube video and I would, see someone do it and get the feeling of it. But I didn't know. I was, yeah. Anyway, you spend years being guilted and like feeling bad about it when you go to the dentist, and then that just makes it harder to go the next time, and you put it off because life is busy and there's always a lot to do, and then it's longer till the next time, and they guilt you again because you took too long, and then then when you literally don't have the money to pay for the work, then it becomes very hard to but now that's happening, and hopefully I sort out the money for the next things after that, because I'll be making a game and releasing a game and making another game, and hopefully at some point along the line money happens. Yeah, we'll see. So the game, I don't have someone else wanting to manage marketing, so I could just say anything I want about it right now, but it still makes sense to like the plan was to release it like mid this year. I think it's May or something like that, and like I said, it'll be delayed a little bit because I'll be doing more things myself, but it might not be delayed that much because I'll also be having like a bit of a lower visual target, I guess. Which is fine. Like, I'll just do what feels like is enough to get it across. And it's a puzzle game. I haven't made a puzzle game since corrypt because it felt hard to follow up, but now I am. It's been enough time that like maybe I can follow it up, or maybe it will be taken separately enough to not have to be seen as following that up. Like, yeah, like maybe just like the things that people were saying online about it got to me a bit too much, but like reading people writing about it and like writing about games that I released after that, people were like, there's going to be a twist halfway through and it's going to like turn everything upside down. I was like, sometimes a design brings that and sometimes it doesn't, and like, I just try to make games what they are, and if I make just like a nice self-contained game that is what it is, looks like what it is from the start, and then ends up being that's nice. But if someone's going into that with an expectation of someone else where they're like, oh yes, this looks like this on the surface, but I know, because Michael always does game-changing twists because he did it once or twice. Yeah, I try not to let expectations like that get to me, and probably I should just read less of what people say about my work online and just do it. Because like sometimes it's encouraging, but like I do end up feeling the weight of that, and yeah, I guess it can lead to me not doing things because I think there's expectations. Like with going to the dentist, right? Like there's there's expectations, there's pressure, like emotions of guilt, shame, or it's like expectation. I don't know. These are all like flavors of the same kind of thing. That there's something someone outside thinks that you should be doing, and you, whether you're doing it or not, you have a process running where you're thinking about evaluating whether you're living up to that, and that's not helpful for creating new things. You just want to have the like awareness of audience, because you're not just in a box making it for yourself. You want to have a mental model of how a player will interact with it, and at the right stage test it with people and see how they're interacting and update it. But there's a way you can be evaluating that without it poisoning you with expectations, and I'm sometimes on one side and sometimes on the other, and when I'm on this side I'm not productive. So yeah, that I feel, yeah, it's nice to be indie again. I was often skeptical about like people who were really, when people were really like holding a lot into that indie label, like we're all just making things. I'm right. I wrote a blog post about this once. It's like we're in a society, right? I haven't been financially independent for most of my career because I'm married, and my wife has most of that time had full-time employment, and that's supported me. Like I've had financial support external to my work, and like hers has been more steady, mine's been up and down, and sometimes mine's more, and that's great, and like it averages out to that we've both contributed well to the shared whole. But I couldn't have been doing that work if she hadn't been having a stable job as an indie. Other indies, I know some people like in the generations of indies before me, like they were independent because they'd worked at like Microsoft or some other big tech company and came out with a large amount of money. You're not indie, you're just rich, right? Like that's great that they could do that. That option is like, the availability of options like that is not evenly distributed in time and space. But like, if you got your money from a megacorp, you're not indie, really. Like it's the same as if someone was funny. Like it's just that they're separated in time, right? Like time is an illusion, or probably it's it meaningfully displaces events. But like if the money, like that's a large corporation funding the game. Like it's not. I don't mind people doing that, but like it's the same thing as if it happened directly. It's just, and yeah, like a lot of people had spouses like me. Some people had just like someone sponsoring them. Some people have like government grants. Some people have like just a rich person, like a patron. Some people doing the crowdfunding thing. That's not a, like, if you're funding from your audience, like, it's like that's more independent than funding from a large corporation, but it's not. You're still depending on people. Like a corporation is just people, an audience is just people. There's lots of other people who are supporting what you're doing. Whatever. Oh, this is a silly topic, and it doesn't matter. And why did I let myself get sidetracked into this? Because I didn't get enough sleep for the last couple of nights, is why. But I'm good. I'm feeling good. I've had some drilling in my mouth with really, really gentle, careful care, and it's good. So, I will talk more later about what I'm working on, and thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting me. Like, the Patreon donations are still relevant. Like, it's great that I got paid in advance to start making a game, and then now I own the game. Like, I do have the money to be living on for the immediate future. Spending a chunk of that here, so like it's just. But yeah. Hopefully everything's just gonna continue to make sense. Like I'm so much more agency, capacity to do things than I did like a year and a half ago, or a little less, when I started these videos asking for help. The Patreon has more or less covered rent for the whole time, which is like, thank you so much. And then, yeah, it got me this publisher deal, which like then also covered food for a big chunk of time, and then the publisher deal ending has covered teeth. So like, it's just up and up, right? Like hopefully the releasing this game or at least cover the next game, and then the next game cover what to do next. Well, you know, there can be other opportunities on the way. Like I'm just like, now that I'm back into it, I'm thinking a lot about how do I approach making games now, right? Like, I did it for a long time in isolation, just working by myself, more or less, and I've well explored what I can do like that. I can do more now, but yeah, having funding to pay someone to work on the graphics felt really good. I was thinking, all this time I've spent making games, I've worked on every aspect of the game, so I understand the whole picture. I'm really well equipped to direct someone else in doing that, because I know all the bits, and I have the leadership skills now to like from parenting and from like working on myself to take that kind of leadership role. I wouldn't have done a great job 15 years ago. I was little, but I could do that. So I was thinking like, yeah, like that's funding from a publisher and like leading a small team could be the way forward for me. But you know, we'll see. Like right now, that particular instance of that has stopped, and I can see that making my work legible before the end might be a ongoing challenge like the reason I started making games by myself is because I had ideas and I'd tell people about the idea and nobody got it, and so I'd start making a prototype and show it to people and nobody got it. I'd finish the prototype and I'd show people and they'd go, oh, I see what you're getting at, this is really cool. And like it was just always like that. And yeah, even when I was like around some people who were programming and interested in games and stuff, I didn't feel I had the capacity to interest a group of them to work on my thing, because nobody ever saw what I was doing with it until I got to the end, and then they thought it was cool. But like that, yeah. And yeah, it was nice. It's been nice working with Michelle on the graphics for this puzzle game, and I don't think she like 100% sees where it's going. And that's okay, because I have the vision and I've been able to tell her what to do, and she likes the vision enough to work with it, but like yeah, it helps to have the money to be able to pay someone so they're happy to work on it with as much of the vision as they get, without having to convince people that this is a thing we're getting to the end of. Yeah, that's. Then how do you have that money without convincing someone to give you that money? Yeah, that's yeah. This has worked out. I mean, I would have liked that to be an ongoing thing, and that, I mean, I think we've parted on good enough terms that like it maybe could ever be again, but it wasn't what I was hoping for now, and I'm grieving that. But and I because I've not been working much these last few years, and because I've had fatiguey stuff affecting my thinking, my mental capacities, and my as well as my just energy and ability to work. Like I when when I've encountered skepticism from outside, like I haven't, like, you know, if someone else is, if in the situation something's not making sense, and I know that someone's not making sense, it could be me. Like there's reasonable evidence from what my conditions have been in the recent past that if someone's not making sense, it might be me. And so I've been really like examining myself, like, am I functioning? like am I thinking clearly? And I am. Like I'm pretty confident I am. Like and Tara, my wife, like she's evaluating me from the outside. Her perspective is that this just looks like when I'm making a game, and she's played things halfway through and finds them not very inspiring yet, and then just waits and sees me being excited about it, and then when it's the end thing, she's like, yeah, that's where you're going, right? And so she's looking at me and she's evaluating that I'm making sense. The things I'm saying seem to be reasonable. It's really valuable to have that perspective there. And I've talked with a friend James, who's known me a long time, and he's just like, it's great to see you just doing what a Michael does. Like, yeah, it's so valuable to have people who've known you a long time and can corroborate whether your current state makes sense. Yeah, so I'm figuring out my direction now, but like the logical thing to do seems to be continue on with what I've been working on while I have momentum on it, because like if I put it down and come back, like putting things down and coming back to them like 6 months, a year, 2 years later is a really valuable creative tool that I have sometimes used in my games. Like Helix especially was a lot better for it's being worked on intensively, and then when I wasn't quite sure, so I worked on other things, came back to it a year later, made it zing. And that's the thing that's worried me about committing to an external deadline expectation, that was choosing to not have the tool of put it down for a year and come back to it available for this project. So it's nice to have that tool back. If I get to a point where I want to put it down for a year and come back to it, I can. But like right now, I have immediate things to do on it, so like I'm just gonna keep on doing the things that I was about to do before someone else said they didn't want it. Because yeah, it's moving forward. I keep my momentum there, and then maybe that momentum carries me through the end. I release that. Maybe I put it down at some point and work on something else. But I'm just doing what makes sense for my internal musy kind of reasons. Yeah, so like I'm not gonna like announce stuff. I expect it will still be released around the middle of this year, but who knows? I'm wild and unpredictable and beholden to none.